So today we are going to do To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper. But first, I would like to start off today's lecture by giving you guys a little bit about the background of her life. Okay, so Harper was born in 1926 in Monroeville, Alabama. So in Alabama, she went to a public school there, but then after a year, she moved to a private school. That school is catered only for women. So she went to private school there, and after she finished her study in private school, she went to a University of Alabama. And then after that, she went to Oxford University to further her studies. Harper continued her study at University of Alabama, and then after her graduation there, she moved to Oxford University and then she returned back to University of Alabama to do law. But exactly 6 months before her graduation, she quit doing law, and she moved to New York. So in New York, she was a reservation clerk for 2 airlines, and while doing her job, she also wrote a few short stories as well as short essays. And at that time, she had one agent. So her agent encouraged her to write more and more, so she quit her job altogether, and she had full support from her friends around her. And then in 1957, she completed writing To Kill a Mockingbird. So that was when To Kill a Mockingbird was officially published, and that novel was a huge success. It had been translated into more than 10 languages, and To Kill a Mockingbird also won a lot of prestigious awards. Okay, I believe that all of you have read To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
Really? Okay, good. So I would like to ask a few questions. I'm going to take a look at the class list and call out a few names to answer my questions. Let's see who's the lucky person. Alright, Izzatul? Okay. Alright, Izzatul, can you tell me the summary of To Kill a Mockingbird?
The novel basically tells a story about Scout and her brother Jem, along with their summer friend named Dill, and they were interested in knowing their unseen and reclusive neighbor named Boo Dudley. So Scout's and Jem's father was an attorney. His name was Atticus. So in the story, Atticus decided to defend a black man named Tom Robinson, who falsely accused of raping a white woman named Mayla Ewell. So on the day of the trial, there was actually not enough evidence to prove that Tom was guilty. So after hours of discussion, the jury finally pronounced that Tom was guilty. The black population in the court were shocked because to them the evidence was so clearly in Tom's favor.
Okay, good, Izzatul. I can tell that you actually read the novel. Really good. Next question would be the theme of the novel. So can Amina tell me about the themes of the novel?
One of the main themes that I could figure out is about racism. I think it could be seen when Tom Robinson is accused of raping a white girl.
Okay, what's the white girl's name?
The girl name is Mayla Ewell, and Atticus decided to represent Tom in this case, but you know white people is being white people, even though Atticus provided a lot of evidence regarding Tom not being guilty, but the judges and the jury still pronounce him as guilty because they just don't simply believe in black man's word.
Alright. Okay, so what can you say about that situation?
In my opinion, I think Lee is trying to highlight the situation where white people is being prejudiced and has hypocritical attitude on the black people, and in this novel she portrays that black people is being oppressed and unjustly treated.
Okay, good. Okay, next question. Why do you think the author highlighted the issue? Also, I want to know how was the situation in America when the book was published. Anyone want to answer that?
Can I try?
Yes, sure.
Okay, so the book was published in 1960.
Okay.
So back then, it was prominent on the movement called civil rights, and it was for equal right for the people,
Okay.
especially for the black people, and it shows how black people are given the opportunity to vote. They can vote, and they also there is law saying that okay, the black people can vote, but then the southern part, which is the white people on the southern part, made it difficult for the black people to vote, which in this case there were tests that supposed to take, and they were intentionally made difficult and also impossible to pass. And even before that, in the southern part, there were a law called Jim Crow law, which they segregate the black and the white in terms of from the education, jobs, buying properties, and also the neighborhood that they live in. Like, for example, black cannot be in the same place as the white. So there was a case where a woman called Parks, she was on the bus trying to reach home, and then back then the seat for the bus were designated, for example, white people seated at the front, while the black seated on the back. So, because it was the law, the woman said, okay, and comply obediently. But when they reached a place, a white man get on the bus, but there were no seat at the front. So Parks and others at the back were asked to leave and give the seat to the man. But because it was unfair treatment, Park resisted, and that's when the black revolt and gathered together, voicing out their opinion.
Alright, good. Okay. I'm going to sit for a while. I'm so tired. Okay. Can anyone tell me a little bit about the main characters in the novel? Firstly, Scout, the main character.
Okay, I would like to say something about Scout. Her real name is Jean Louise Finch. So she is the narrator and the main character of the novel. In this novel, Lee portrays her as a rebellious and tomboy girl because she has a fierce disposition toward anyone who trying to challenge her. But despite being a boyish girl, she actually has a really good heart, and she believes that in everyone there's a goodness.
Okay, what can you tell me about her brother Jem in the novel?
Okay, about Jim, his real name is Jeremy Finch. He is 4 years older than Scout, and yeah, he is the older brother of Scout. And the character of Jim is quite opposite with Scout. If Scout is portrayed as a rebellious girl, Jem is someone who is quite quiet and more reserved than Scout, and he is portrayed as a typical American boy who has a very high standards and expectation for people.
Good. Okay, what about Atticus, the main character in the novel, the father? Can anyone tell me about him? Anyone? No?
Widower, right? Atticus Finch is a widower, right?
Okay, now that you have mentioned it, continue. Who is Atticus in the novel?
Okay, about Atticus Finch, he is a single father to Scout and Jeremy, and during that time, Atticus is a very respected lawyer, and he is extremely morally upright man, and he strives to deal with everyone equally regardless their race and gender, and sometimes he is very optimistic.
Good. Can someone from that side add to Amina's points? Maybe Satya?
Okay, I will say. Okay, so I would like to add to Amina's point. So she made a really good point about Atticus, that he's optimistic and he's a really good father to both Scout and Jem. So through that we can see that Harper Lee created one of the best father of literature, like literary father, sorry, and he's also like one of the greatest hero in literature, because he was defending an African American person during a time when racism was all around, even though he knew that Tom Robinson, the black man, charged with committing a crime he did not even commit, he knew that Tom didn't have much chance of winning, but he still supported him, defended him in the courtroom, and everyone was against him. The whole town, the whole southern society of Alabama, the town was against him, was in many ways telling him that he should not be doing this, but he still continued to do what is right. And we can see that he is also a good father and educator to both children, Scout and Jem, because throughout the whole story he gives several advices, and one of the most important and famous and main advice that he gives is here. He says that you never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it. I'm pretty sure everyone has heard of it in their lifetime, because it's a really important quote. We can see how optimistic he is and how considerate he is. So even though Scout is the narrator, we see the story from Scout's point of view, but we see that Atticus is actually the main character, and it's also my opinion that Atticus is the most important person in this novel. So yeah, that's about
really good.
it.
Okay, that was actually really good. Such a good elaboration on the main character. You actually did your reading despite sitting at the back and being really quiet. So
Yes.
very good. Okay, Saja, I think you did your reading really well. So I want to ask you your own evaluation of the novel.
So my evaluation, my own opinion. Yeah. Okay. In my opinion, this is a memorable book. I think almost everyone knows about it, even if you have not read it, you still heard of it, and at some point in your life, I'm pretty sure you will pick it up, because this is not just about racism, in my opinion. This book, the story is about good versus evil, because we can see that when Atticus Finch, the father of Scout and Jem, is giving advice to his children, he never says that, okay, the black people are good, the white people are bad, and these white people are treating the black people unjustly. He just says that these folks are treating these folks unjustly. So we can see that he makes no distinction of races. He's simply saying there are good people and there are bad people.
And then I want to also highlight the quote that makes up the title of the book. Shoot all the blue jays you want if you can hit them, but remember it's a sin to kill a mockingbird. So what he's trying to say is that mockingbirds, they sing, they make such good music for us, but they don't do anything to us, so we should not kill them. So by that, what he means is that all the innocent people who do not do anything wrong, we should not, we should protect them at all costs. So in my opinion, that's like one of the greatest lessons that we can take. With that being said, I want to say that to me, this is not just a book about the issues of racism or good versus evil, but it's a story filled with lessons that we can all relate to no matter how old we are. And the thing that I really like is this book is written in a simple language and with humor and compassion, so anyone can read it. Like no matter what level your English is, you can always understand the main point of the story. And once again, it's a timeless piece. So yeah, another thing I want to also add is that some people might say this book is unreliable because the narrator is only 6 years old, Scout is only 6 years old. But I think that's the beauty of it. Like Harper Lee, a grown-up person, had to write from the point of view of a child, and she does it very well. So yeah, it's a really good book in my opinion. Everyone should read it, and that's about it.
Good. Okay, now that Saja has mentioned that the point of view of the novel is from a 6-year-old girl, it makes sense because actually it's Harper Lee kind of tells a story about herself as well. Because when she was 6 years old, there was this case, the Scottsboro case, I think. Scottsboro case. This is actually a group of black men. So this group of black men was being accused of raping 2 white women. So this event happened when Harper Lee was 6 years old. So the same goes to the book. The narrator is 6 years old, right? Yeah. So that was when the trial of Tom Robinson takes place. Yeah, and also there are so many similarities between the narrator and also Harper Lee. Like let's say Harper Lee was born in Alabama. Also, Scout was born in Alabama, and then Harper Lee's father is an attorney, a lawyer, right? And then Scout's father is a lawyer as well. And then yeah, so we can say actually the book revolves around the writer's life as well. Yeah. Okay, now let's take a look at the time. It's okay, 9:28, 2 minutes to 9:30. I'm gonna let you go early. I'm gonna let you go early because I have a meeting at 9:45. I'm in a rush. So today was a really good discussion. I'm glad that you all did your reading. So next week we are going to discuss Moby Dick. So I hope you guys are well versed in Moby Dick because I would be very mad if you are not. Yep, so don't forget to do your reading this weekend, and yeah, we will start discussing it next week. So that's all for today.
Bye.
Thank you for coming to the class.
Thank you.